Excuse me, can I see your IDs, please? The question cut through the bubble of happy gamer chatter and the low hum of my car engine like a knife. My boyfriend, Mark, and I looked up from our phones, still reeling from a particularly intense boss fight we'd just finished talking about, to find two uniformed cops glaring at us through my driver's side window. Our Saturday gaming retreat to the city had just taken a seriously bizarre turn. Mark and I had been hyped all week for this pop-up gaming event. Think new releases, indie demos, a whole office floor converted into a temporary arcade, basically heaven for us. The building itself was in a slightly older part of downtown, a bit rundown, but hey, prime real estate for a gaming convention, right? We'd navigated the usual city chaos to get there, but what wasn't usual was the vibrancy of the street life just a block or two away from our destination. As we drove past, there were these women, dressed to the nines but not exactly for a boardroom meeting. They were clearly working, you know, and honestly it was a little jarring. Like, 1 minute we're jamming to a gaming podcast, the next we're awkwardly trying not to make eye contact with folks offering services on a Tuesday afternoon. We just chalked it up to weird city stuff and pulled into the parking garage for the office building. We'd spent a good chunk of the day inside, totally immersed in controller-gripping, button-mashing bliss. Mark had even won a raffle for some sweet gaming merch. Around mid-afternoon, we decided to take a break, grab a quick snack from the car, and just chill for a bit before diving back in. That's when the knock came. "IDs, please," the officer repeated, his tone flat, eyes scanning the interior of my car, my half-eaten granola bar, Mark's gaming headset, the stray candy wrappers. It suddenly felt like evidence. Mark, bless his talkative heart, was already fishing his wallet out. Sure, officer. Everything okay?" I handed mine over too, my stomach doing a slow twist. The officer took them, looked at mine, then at Mark's. His brow furrowed deeper. He nudged his partner. This girl's only 19, he mumbled, pointing at my ID. "And she's with this guy who's 21. You two aren't related, are you?" Mark actually let out a small, nervous laugh. "No, officer, we're not. We're dating." Both officers exchanged a look that was less, "Oh, I see," and more, "Wait, what fresh hell is this?" "Dating?" The second officer chimed in incredulously. "But you're not related?" Now, I couldn't help but let a tiny, bewildered chuckle escape. "No, we're not related and we're dating. It's actually pretty common." I gestured vaguely between us. "You know, boyfriend and girlfriend." They both just stared, utterly baffled. Clearly the concept of a non-incestuous age gap of 2 years relationship was blowing their minds. "But you're just kids," the first officer exclaimed, like he'd stumbled upon a pair of particularly well-dressed, vehicular-operating toddlers. "How did you even know how to drive?" Mark, ever the charmer, straightened up a bit, a mischievous glint in his eye. "Well, we learned from our parents, of course, and we're both responsible drivers, so no worries there." That finally broke them. A slow smile spread across the first officer's face, then his partner snorted, trying to hold back a laugh. They handed our IDs back, their expressions shifting from suspicion to genuine amusement. All right, you two," the first one said, shaking his head. "You can go. But just a warning, this area, not safe for young people like you, especially not young people who apparently just learned to drive from their parents." We thanked them, probably a little too enthusiastically, and sped out of that parking garage as fast as legally possible, both of us dissolving into fits of laughter. It was easily the most ridiculous "I don't work here, officer, and also I'm not a child prostitute" moment of my life, and honestly it made the gaming event even more memorable. Who knows, maybe next time we'll bring our parents for a chaperone. Just in case they need proof we actually can drive.
All right, the last story is wild, and it's not what you think. Before we get into it, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the next round.
"You just bumped my cart, you lazy millennial, and you will get me those organic kale chips because I pay your salary." My head snapped up, yanking my AirPods almost clean out of my ears. Hamilton was still blasting, but the real-life drama unfolding behind me was far more theatrical. I hadn't even heard her approach. too engrossed in my quest for the elusive garlic salt amidst a jungle of spices, humming along to my shot. I spun around to face the source of the sudden, aggressive energy, finding myself staring at a woman whose face was already set in a furious scowl, clutching the handle of a ridiculously overloaded shopping cart like a weapon. "Excuse me?" I managed, pulling out an AirPod. I don't work here." Her eyes narrowed to angry slits swept over my casual hoodie and jeans. "Don't you dare lie to me. I saw you over here fiddling with the shelves. You clearly work here making a mess and not paying attention. Now stop pretending and go get me the low-carb oat milk. And while you're at it, where's your gluten-free artisanal sourdough? My grandson simply cannot have regular bread. It upsets his delicate constitution." I blinked, genuinely bewildered. "Ma'am, I really don't work for this grocery store. I'm just a customer, trying to find some garlic salt for my waffles." I even gestured vaguely towards the shelves. "Waffles! Who doesn't love a good waffle?" She scoffed, crossing her arms over her chest, the cart handle now abandoned to block the aisle. "Waffles? See, this is exactly the kind of laziness I'm talking about. You millennials and your waffles. Instead of helping paying customers like me, you're fantasizing about breakfast? I keep food on plates. I pay my rent. You should be grateful to have a job no matter how much you wish you were home on TikTok. Now, are you going to get my milk, or do I need to speak to your manager about your insubordination?" My patience, already thin from navigating the Saturday morning chaos, started to fray. "Look, I can't get your milk because, again, I don't work here. I'm just Aubrey trying to buy groceries." That's when she really leaned in, her voice dropping to a nasty hiss. "Aubrey, is it? Well, Aubrey, you clearly don't understand how things work here in my country. Maybe you should take your bad attitude and go back to Mexico? We don't need your kind messing up our grocery stores." My jaw literally dropped. Mexico? I'm as white as unsalted butter, born and raised in Ohio. But the sheer vitriol, the casual racism, it just punched me in the gut, all for not knowing where the artisanal sourdough was. "Wow," I said, my voice dangerously low. "That's a bit much, don't you think? I'm not Mexican, and even if I were, that's incredibly rude. I'm not helping you with anything, and I suggest you move your cart before someone else runs into it." "Oh, you think you can talk to me like that?" she shrieked, her voice suddenly echoing through the aisle. "I'm going to press charges. I'm calling the police right now. You've assaulted me with that cart and you're harassing me." She pulled out her phone, brandishing it like she was about to summon an army. A few heads began to turn. A quiet woman who had been browsing nearby slowly pushed her cart away, looking uncomfortable. But then a guy with a mountain of protein powder in his basket stepped forward, arms crossed. "Ma'am, she really doesn't work here. I've seen her around. She's always got her headphones on." Just then, a harried-looking store employee wearing a name tag that read Brenda hurried over, drawn by the commotion. "Is everything all right here, ma'am? What seems to be the problem?" The entitled woman rounded on Brenda. "Finally, some actual help. This person here," she jabbed a finger at me, refused to help me, called me names and threatened me. She even hit my cart. I want her arrested. Brenda looked between us, her eyes tired. "Ma'am, is that true? Did you hit her cart?" "No," I exclaimed, utterly exasperated. She bumped my back while I was listening to music, then demanded I help her because she thought I worked here, and when I said I didn't, she told me to go back to Mexico. Brenda's eyebrows shot up. The protein powder guy nodded emphatically. "It's true, Brenda. I heard it all. She's been harassing this young woman." The entitled woman's face contorted. "He's lying. They're both clearly in cahoots. I'm pressing charges against all of you for harassment, insubordination, and refusing a paying customer service." Brenda sighed deeply, then radioed for a manager. Within minutes, a stern-faced man in a crisp polo shirt appeared. "What's going on here, Brenda?" He took in the scene, me fuming, clutching my AirPod case, the entitled woman, red-faced and gesturing wildly, the increasingly curious onlookers. Brenda quickly but calmly explained the situation. The protein powder guy chimed in with his witness account. The manager listened, then turned to the entitled woman, his voice firm. "Ma'am, it seems there's been a clear misunderstanding. This young lady is a customer just like you. And accusing someone of harassment and threatening legal action for not working here, not to mention the derogatory comments, is completely unacceptable. We do not tolerate that kind of behavior in our store. You need to leave now." Her mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. But my low-carb oat milk, my sourdough, I need them. "You can either purchase those items calmly or you can leave without them," the manager stated, unyielding. "Your choice, but this conversation and your behavior is over." She stood there, defeated for a long moment, then let out an indignant huff, grabbed her cart and, still muttering darkly about lazy millennials and discrimination, stormed off towards the checkout. I stood there, adrenaline still buzzing, heart thumping. Brenda offered a sympathetic smile and the manager apologized profusely. I nodded, mumbled a thanks, but honestly, the craving for waffles and garlic salt had completely evaporated. My shopping trip was officially ruined. I just couldn't bring myself to finish my grocery list. I needed out of there. I needed a moment to decompress and process that absurd, enraging exchange. So I walked out, garlic saltless, waffleless, and headed straight to my favorite bar down the street. 20 minutes later, I was perched on a stool, nursing a very well-deserved margarita, the salty rim a strange comfort. The ice clinked against the glass, a much more soothing sound than the entitled woman's shriek. I just sat there, replaying the whole thing, shaking my head. Some people really just can't stand it when you're minding your own business. And that, my friends, is how a simple trip for garlic salt ended with me needing a stiff drink and a serious break from humanity.
My ears are still ringing, not from the music I was enjoying, but from the sheer audacity of a woman who just ripped my headphones clean off my head. I swear the only thing louder was the collective gasp of everyone in the frozen food aisle. This wasn't just a bad day at the grocery store, folks. This was a full-blown Karen meltdown, and I was smack dab in the middle of it. So, let's rewind a bit, shall we? It was a Saturday, I was Juliana, and I was just trying to get some much-needed groceries for the week. My escape plan? My trusty headphones blasting my favorite podcast, and a mission to snag some good, fresh produce. I was meticulously inspecting a bunch of organic kale, because, kale demands respect, when I heard a rather aggressive throat clearing behind me. I pulled one earbud out, turned around, and there she was, a woman who looked like she'd just sucked on a lemon, with a severe haircut that screamed, "I'd like to speak to your manager. Let's call her Karen." "Excuse me," she practically barked, hands on her hips. "Are you done monopolizing the good greens, or do you plan to fondle every single leaf in this section?" I blinked. Monopolizing? Fondle? Seriously? I was being thorough, but come on. "Just about," I said, trying to keep my voice even, giving her a small, polite nod. I figured maybe she was having a rough day. We all have those, right? I picked my kale, popped my earbud back in, and moved a few feet down to the bell peppers. A couple minutes later, another throat clear, louder this time. I sighed inwardly, pulled the earbud out again. "Are you done yet?" she snapped, her face already starting to get that distinctive reddish hue. "Yes, I'm done with the kale," I replied, a little more pointedly, gesturing to the peppers. "I'm shopping for my family." That's when her face truly exploded into a crimson masterpiece. "You've been taking all the good produce," she shrieked, startling a few other shoppers nearby. "I can't find anything left, you're hoarding it." Okay, now I was getting annoyed. "Look, ma'am, I'm just buying vegetables. There's plenty left, you just have to look." I tried to sound reasonable, even as my podcast host was still chattering away in my other ear, oblivious to the drama. But reason was clearly not on Karen's shopping list. She let out a frustrated growl, then started muttering loudly about selfish people and entitled millennials. I decided the best course of action was to ignore her and head to the bakery. Surely she wouldn't follow me for bread, right? Wrong. Oh, so very wrong. As I was admiring some delicious-looking artisan sourdough, a shadow loomed. "And now you're at the bakery?" Karen accused, suddenly right beside me, practically breathing down my neck. You're taking all the good donuts too, aren't you? What are you having, some kind of party for all your greedy friends? I just stared at her. Donuts? I hadn't even looked at the donuts. This was reaching peak absurdity. I actually let out a short, incredulous laugh. Ma'am, I don't work here, and I haven't touched the donuts. I'm just shopping. That seemed to ignite something primal in her. Her voice ratcheted up another notch, drawing more stares. Don't you lie to me? I saw you. You're clearly trying to hoard everything good. Probably so you can resell it or something equally devious. She was flailing her arms now, gesturing wildly at the pastries. My patience was officially wearing thin, but I still had one earbud in, providing a tiny bubble of sanity. I started making my way towards the frozen food aisle, hoping the sheer distance and change of scenery might shake her off. Nope, like a heat-seeking missile, she followed. I was contemplating the merits of organic versus conventional frozen broccoli when she appeared, practically panting, her eyes scanning my cart. Aha! She declared, pointing a trembling finger at my cart, specifically at a bag of frozen cauliflower rice and a six-pack of Diet Coke. I knew it. You're an alcoholic, aren't you? That's why you're hoarding everything. Probably for some drunken party you're throwing. I actually snorted with laughter. Alcoholic? From Diet Coke and cauliflower rice? Lady, that's Diet Coke, and this is for stir-fry, I said, holding up the cauliflower. And again, I don't work here. I'm just trying to get some groceries. The absurdity was almost comical, almost. But my amusement only seemed to fuel her rage. Her face contorted, and before I could even react, she lunged. My music suddenly cut out as she ripped my headphones right off my head, the wire snapping painfully against my ear. Take those things out! She screamed, her voice a raw, unhinged sound that echoed through the quiet aisle. You're ignoring me, you're deaf, probably from all the booze. That was it. My last shred of calm evaporated. The physical contact, the absolute invasion of my personal space, the sheer audacity, my voice, usually calm, was cold and sharp. Do not touch me again. I practically hissed, my heart pounding. You have no right. She scoffed, a truly ugly sound. Oh, now you're going to threaten me. Probably trying to steal something, aren't you? Lying little thief? Before I could even respond, a calm, authoritative voice cut through the air. Is there a problem here? It was the store manager, a kind-looking older man who clearly knew how to handle difficult situations. He'd obviously heard the commotion. Yes, there is. Karen immediately screeched, turning her fury on him. This woman is harassing me, stealing all the good food, and she's an alcoholic, and she physically assaulted me. My jaw dropped. She ripped my headphones off my head. I exclaimed, pointing to the dangling wires. She's been following me, yelling at me, and calling me names for the last 20 minutes. I want to press charges for harassment. The manager's eyes narrowed as he looked at Karen, then at me. He saw my genuinely upset face, the broken headphones, and probably Karen's still screaming red face. Ma'am, he said to me, do you really want to press charges? Yes, I stated, without a moment's hesitation. I was done being nice. He nodded, pulled out his phone, and called the police. Karen immediately started protesting, yelling about her rights, but it was too late. Within minutes, 2 officers were there, and after hearing accounts from the manager and a couple of brave eyewitnesses, Karen was arrested for disrupting the peace and assault, for ripping my headphones. The manager, looking utterly apologetic, pulled me aside. He offered me a sincere apology and, to my surprise, handed me a $50 gift card to the store. I'm so sorry you had to go through that, ma'am, he said. Please accept this as a small token of our apology. I was still a bit shaken, but I thanked him. As I was heading out, I mentioned offhand to him that I planned to use the gift card to buy some extra snacks and supplies for my elementary school students, a lot of whom come from low-income families. His face lit up. You're a teacher? He asked. I nodded. He paused, then disappeared into his office, returning a moment later with a brand new gift card. Here, he said, handing it to me. Make that $100 blick, please, for your students. We appreciate what you do. So yeah, r/IDontWorkHereLady.
That's how my simple grocery run turned into a police incident and an unexpected blessing. My students ended up with a fantastic haul of healthy snacks and art supplies, all thanks to a truly unhinged woman and a very kind manager. It just goes to show you, sometimes standing your ground against entitlement can lead to some truly wholesome outcomes. But seriously, keep those headphones charged, and never underestimate the power of a calmly stated, "I want to press charges." Stay safe out there, folks.
Still in the mood for more? Watch this video next.